Let's talk about Forza Horizon 5. My Forza Horizon 5 experience began and ended with the copyright screen. That's it. That's as far as I've ever gotten in the game. That's as far as I got in the game. That's probably the least far I've ever gotten in any video game. Never got past the opening splash screen with copyright information on it. So here's what happened. The game would just keep crashing and crashing and crashing at the copyright screen. Wouldn't even play any of the, such and such studios presents or whatever. And one of the things you learn as you get older is not to be a sucker for stupid stuff. And one of them is, do not, as a gamer, tolerate companies releasing subpar products, even if it means walking away from a popular gaming franchise that you enjoy. The bottom line is there are bad actors in the gaming industry that take advantage of, number one, stuff you don't know, and two, stuff you won't do. And one of those things they think you won't do is stop playing a video game because they did a crappy job. So here's a little history lesson, because the gaming world, as we know it, has been through it before. PC gaming, of course, has had issues like being crippled with DRM and stuff like that, Star Force, and what's the other one called? We had Star Force and Securom, that's it. But no gamer should put up with this crap. Do not tolerate it. Stop playing popular games if the devs are taking you for granted. So I go to play Forza, it won't get past the copyright screen. I try all kinds of workarounds, msconfig, and eventually I'm like, no, I'm not doing this again. I'm just going to get a Steam refund instead, because that's a thing nowadays. So I've posted a Steam refund, and I no longer have Forza Horizon 5. Simple. I have plenty of other things to play, including Forza Horizon 4, which, if that game gets deliberately crippled, so try and force people over to Forza Horizon 5, I will just walk away from the entire series completely, because this Warcraft 3 Reforged nonsense now spreading to the rest of the industry, like what happened to the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, 100% unacceptable. Do not tolerate this as a gamer. Do not tolerate it. So the more you do, the crappier everything gets, and the more miserable you are. You should be having fun because what you're playing is good, not because you are desperately making excuses for something that isn't. Now, I went through and I checked out the support documents. I did workarounds, msconfig, before just saying no and going for a Steam refund. I went and read the support documents. The support documents said, turn off your antivirus, turn off your firewall, turn off your overlays, turn off your Logitech G software, turn off your your MSI Afterburner. Okay, turn off everything that makes me a PC gamer. So I'm supposed to play an online driving racing game with no antivirus and no firewall, and no gaming overlays or anything of that sort. Now, forget the PC gaming specific software. I'm supposed to play this game with no antivirus and firewall online? No. I'm not doing that. There is no excuse for the Forza devs to be able to tell people to jump through these hoops and potentially expose themselves to security risks. There's also no excuse for the Forza devs to think that their game is so special that you can tell people, even though it acts completely unlike everything else in your game collection on PC, you should do something special for this one game. All your other games just run, but if you want to run our game, you got to turn this off, you got to turn that off, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, look, I've already been through this before. I mean, I dealt with this with Final Fantasy VII on PC in the 2000s because I was playing a Windows 95 game in the Windows 2000 XP era. Had to go into restart to Windows 98. I had to go use Riva Tuner to turn off a few specific things so the game would run correctly. And I did that only for that one game and had to remember to set it back for everything else. Unacceptable. I did that for that one game and then had to remember to set it back for everything else. And that was because I was playing a really, really old game. Today, with Forza Horizon 5, this is a brand new AAA release that just came out. No excuse whatsoever. And lastly, before we fire up ESO, let me just bring up one extremely important thing. We've already seen this before, as gaming has already seen and been through this before, and we know that it ends badly. 40 years ago, yes, it was that long ago, We had the video game crash of 1983. It's now the early 2020s. This happened in the early 80s. One of the reasons why that happened was because of lack of quality with releases on the Atari 2600. So, developers could make literally anything and sell it. There was no quality standards. And this is what led to things like the Nintendo seal of quality that I could never figure out as a kid. Why is there this golden seal thingy on all my cartridges? Why do we even need a seal of quality? It's a Nintendo game. It should be fine as is. Because of what happened with Atari. The lack of quality fundamental, tell me if this sounds familiar. The lack of a quality standard meant that bad games could be released to the general public. The general public could waste their money on games that weren't worth playing because of a lack of a standard of quality before the games were released. Sound familiar? Ladies and gentlemen, nothing has changed. Forza Horizon 5, big AAA popular franchise. Oh, but it's a coin toss as to whether it's going to run in your system or not, even if your system has plenty of horsepower to play other games at maximum, like Elder Scrolls Online in my case, with the TAA and DLAA nowadays from NVIDIA and all kinds of other fancy stuff because the game's been upgraded over the years. So no, I'm not tolerating this from Forza, and I encourage others to do likewise. Don't bother with the Microsoft Store version of Forza Horizon 5. Get it through Steam. If it doesn't work, get a refund. Don't mess with your computer. Don't do any workarounds. Hold these people to a higher standard. So, maybe try again, when there's a major patch that supposedly fixes everything. But hold these people to some standards or they will never learn their lesson. In the 80s, video games were young enough that doing something like this crashed the whole industry. Nowadays, with a more conditioned fanboy customer base, these companies will do this and get away with it a lot more than they did 40 years ago because you let them. Don't let them. Have some standards. Play something else. PC gaming in particular is a way big enough ecosystem that you should not have to make excuses to pretend you enjoy a game that is crap, that was released unfinished. Do not tolerate this stuff. Hold these companies accountable. It's the only way that this will ever be anything, in terms of solved or whatever. It's the only way we're ever going to make any progress on this.